All right, so good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight for the long distance running preseason webinar as we kick off our season. On the webinar tonight is myself, sport director for long distance running. Steve Bennett is recovering from our kayaking time trials this past weekend, so he will not be joining us. But on the call also is Mike Sarnowski, our vice president of sports. So next up is our agenda. As we're going through here, please feel free to drop your questions in chat. You can also just raise your hand or unmute. We will not use up our full time allotted, I don't believe, tonight. So don't feel like we won't get through the slides if you have a pressing question you would like to ask. So please speak up if you have any, and just stop me at the end of one of the slides if necessary. So for the agenda, continuing on, we'll talk about our season deadlines. We'll go over some training and qualifying events, go over the rules, and then leave a time at the end for any Q&A that can occur. Also, the forms and policies that's going to be attached to this slide deck is at the bottom of this slide this slide deck. We will not go into in detail. I will click through it after we get to the end here, just so you can see what's included. Athlete medicals, protest forms, a bunch of different documents that may be beneficial to you throughout the course of the season. So one other note is don't feel like you need to jot everything down as we go through here. This will be sent out tomorrow over email as a PDF along with the recording. And then also any important links that are included that you see will be pulled and inserted separately through that email along with an explanation. Also, as we'll talk about later on too, the coaches resource page, the long distance running section is located at the bottom of the athletics coaches resource page. That's where it'll show all the information related to LDR. So please reference that as we go throughout the season, which it'll have your qualifying opportunities, sanction forms, rule reminders, etc. There's also a virtual training guide that Zach and I kind of combined with snowshoeing that was created during COVID that may be beneficial for some training activities at home that you can do outside of your typical practices for your athletes, and you may find that beneficial. So moving along here, as a reminder, no athlete or volunteer may participate at any time or in any manner in a Special Olympics Maryland program without valid certifications. There are no exceptions to this policy. So what is required for each participant? Athletes need to have their athlete medical forms. All individuals need to have their CDWs, which is a communicable disease waiver form, completed prior to participating. For unified partners and general volunteers, you need your volunteer background and then also protective behaviors. So that will also go up through any other individual that you see here. Go into a sport volunteer, that will add the concussion certification course. That is located on the resource page, as is all of these in one spot. In case you need to complete more than one, there's easy to access. It'll take you right towards that page, and then you'll receive a completion notification at the end to notify us with. With assistant coaches, that then adds the assistant coach sport certification. And for a head coach, that will be taking the long distance running coaches certification course that we will have. I will ask at the end if we have any new coaches. We're still trying to figure out if we would like to do a master's course or how we would like to proceed with that for it to be the best for all individuals. Obviously, there are some overlaps from athletics, but we do want that time to be use the best for all involved, not teach concepts the same every year if they're not necessary, and possibly if it's all returning coaches, open it up and have a conversation about what works well and some things that you're implementing during your training season. Please remember to work with your area leadership. You as a coach have area leadership that also need to have all that paperwork to them. So please keep them in mind that as you're checking your athletes to make sure that they are good, just remember that they need a week or two to get those documents to us also. So just think about all the different parties involved. This is for the health and safety of our athletes. That is why we have these documents that need to be in place prior to the training season. And we'll talk about the deadlines here on the next slide. So coach credentialing at competition, Only people who have met all the requirements to be a coach will be credentialized as a coach at any Special Olympics competition. So this must be a coach's certification date through, in our situation here, October 31st, or October 21st, apologies, which will be Fall Sports Fest competition for long distance running. Okay, so make sure that all the forms for your athletes, volunteers, etc., is all through October 21st. So the only exception to the CSOA requirement, which you can see above, which is mandated for all coaches, is going to be coaching unified sports. So that will only be for those who coach only unified athletes. Okay. Coaches must have completed an SOMD approved course specific to their sport to be credentialized any higher than assistant coach. There is no exceptions to this, and if that is not reached, they can register as a volunteer or a sport volunteer within their delegation. So now you say, I wonder where I stand. One way to figure that out is to ask me, and I'll be more than happy to tell you that. Or you can check out that page with the link listed below, which is updated every Friday, which will show you exactly where you stand, when your certification was re-upped or first started, and along with when it expires. So if you're curious about that, please feel free to check out that link. Again, it's updated every Friday, so it will be very accurate for you. Moving along to the Fall Fest deadlines here. So the training registration deadline is coming up. It's going to be August 29th. That's when your roster needs to be entered in GMS with all of your athletes, unified partners, coaches, volunteers, everybody from your program. So that establishes for us who is eligible to compete at the state competition. So anybody submitted after this date may participate in training, of course, but they will not be eligible for the state competition. So the last date for missing forms to be submitted will be September 11th. And there is just notes again, what needs to be completed for each of those individuals, and stresses again that it needs to be through October 21st. The competition registration deadline, that's when everybody needs to be in GMS along with their events that they will be participating in. For long distance running, it will be what event they are participating in. So the deadline for that is October 3rd. And again, please keep your area leadership in mind with these deadlines. Do we have any questions on that before we move forward? All right. So the events
Sorry,
that
it took me
go ahead.
Took me a while to find the mute button.
Yes, John.
If I have a couple of athletes that are coming back to LDR, they've been away for a year or more. I plan on starting them at the 1,000 meters, but if they are improving and can move up to 1,500, does it have to be done by the 3rd of October?
Mike, can I ask you with that?
Yeah.
I have an opinion, but I don't want to state something incorrectly.
So John,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of leeway on that, but not a whole lot because we can't do the divisioning until that's done. So, I mean, I would check with Ryan,
try and do it by the 3rd.
Yeah, and either Ryan or Casey, who will be taking over for Ryan at some point in the next month and a half or so, to see if that's still something that can fit in with that.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Sure.
All right. So the events that we offer here all will also be unified. So we have the 1K, 1,500 meter, the 3K, and the 5K. Athletes will be picking one of those events to compete in at the state championship. So qualifying competitions. So in order to count as a qualifying competition, we wanted to emulate the state level competition the best that it can here. So we want to follow all the rules from Special Olympics and the national governing body, specifically safety rules, have appropriate trained officials, so course marshals, medical personnel on site of an EMT or higher, and ideally include 3 or more counties. I know that there are only 4, maybe max 5 counties with LDR, so that could be pushing it. But the goal is to have other counties involved with our athletes during the season to get them the most competitive environment that they can be in prior to the state championship. Okay. So please have a sanction form. Once you're aware of the date that you can host that, along with the location, the sanction form will list out very clearly what needs to be included on that to our headquarters at least 30 days in advance. If you need to have it in a slightly shorter time frame, I can definitely work with you on that. But we just want to have that time to get the word out to others so they can possibly join you also for that qualifier, which again, we would like to have other counties involved, at least for one of them. The second one can be an in-house qualifier. Okay. Failure to that may nullify your events for your athletes in the qualifying competition. Please make sure during your qualifying events that your athletes are competing in the events that they will be at the state championship. So those are the times that we will use to division your athletes to have them in the best possible divisions for the state championship. Okay, so we want those times to be as accurate as possible, which again, kind of the best way that we've learned over the years is when you have an athlete from other counties fighting side by side with you, they may be going to their best ability. So please make sure that those times are going to be similar to what they will be at the state championship, which should be your athlete giving it 100% at all times with these events. So the mainstream races of matching or greater distances, we have charmcity.com has a list of events that they update each year. It's a great place to reference some events your athletes may be interested in. Some of them have registration fees involved. You may need to book far in advance for some, but it's a great place to check out if you're looking for additional qualifying opportunities.
Ryan?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you go back? I just need to copy the events offered at state.
No problem.
Like a couple of, yeah, that's it. Let me just, I got most of them here.
Sure.
And Ryan will be sending this deck out
Right.
Probably tomorrow. So
right,
well.
But I like to know what to. Okay, thanks.
We are thrilled with your enthusiasm and interest. So thank you.
All right, so qualifying competitions at this time. I know we're just getting our season underway here. A few counties maybe practiced for a week or two at this point. I don't have any sanction forms as of now. We did kind of include that in the preseason email that went out a week or two ago to start thinking about when and where those qualifiers can be. So please continue to think of that and then get that sanction form to me so we can make others aware of the opportunities. Is there anybody on here currently that has an idea about a date for their county's qualifier? Even if you don't have any additional information, just so we can share it with others. If the answer is no, perfectly fine. I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot. I just want to make sure we're not missing any here.
Susan put in the chat that the Montgomery County Roadrunners have races and some of which may be prior to the time that these need to be accomplished. They do have one big one, but it's usually after the fall festival. So
got it.
Yeah, if it's a community event and it's you get a legitimate time out of it and such, we can certainly consider counting that for stuff.
I looked at that last year. I'll look at the schedule and I can send you guys the information I see, but they had a really nice race at a farm that would have been safe and non-competitive, but it was in November last year. Yeah. Right then. Yeah.
All righty. Moving along here for uniform and attire, there's no changes to these, but we do want to go over them just as we're getting our season started here. Athletic attire is required. So athletic shorts and pants, no khakis or jeans, etc. Tops, it can be a singlet, t-shirt, or a sweatshirt. Please keep advertising off those. Wristwatch or other timing devices are permitted. That's probably one of the main questions that comes up. No jewelry, medals, headphones, etc., except medical alert bracelets. Stud earrings and flat rings may be permitted at the official's discretion. I know that our venue directors typically are okay with those. Again, stud earrings and flat rings. Anything hanging will be asked to be removed prior to competition. Footwear may wear shoes or run barefoot. Shoes must be appropriate for athletic competition. Work boots, street shoes, and open-toed shoes are not permitted. At the state competition, it's mostly grass. There are some gravel spots, just as you're aware of here as we plan for the state championship. 1K unified runs and relays. Some reminders here. The unified pairs must finish within 5 seconds of each other. The combined time is what we get to have the team's final qualifying score, okay? So when you're submitting those times to me, please have it be the total of both of the runners, all right? The pairs may touch or hold hands, but it is not a requirement. They just need to be within that 5-second window. They cannot pull, carry, or any other action deemed unsafe, which will cause a DQ. A baton will be used in the relay races along with a 30-meter exchange zone. I believe, yes. The LDR State Championship will be on October 21st. We will be back at the Mount St. Mary's University. Really thrilled to be back at their area. Their team helps a ton with setup, along with on-site day of and during the competition as needed. The time approximately for that is 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we usually stay pretty true to that, maybe a little bit shorter of the day there. And again, more of these details related to the state championship will be covered in the pre-competition webinar. It is just helpful, I believe, to notify you of some of these because it may shape your training or your season planning a little bit. So that is the main reason for covering this. It is anticipated that the marking of the course for Fall Sports Festival will be with orange cones. We typically bring 50 or every single cone we have in our warehouse to make the course as clear as it can be. And then we also spray the course, or the colleges, gracious enough, they have a track team, I believe it is, or their long distance running team coach that comes out and lines that whole course with us or for us. They use different colors to mark the different races. And our athletes have benefited from that in the past. Again, some of the feedback we get is just that it needs to be more visible. So we keep trying to add everything we can to make it clear what course is for what race. There will be also course marshals placed at certain locations that we've deemed that could be confusing. And again, it all goes back to making it as clear as we can for our athletes. All starts will be a mass start for all divisions of a given distance. The course will be open in advance for coaches and or athletes or both to go together and walk the course, jog the course, whatever they would like, just to be sure that they are aware of what the course is, make sure that it's clear, etc. Our team always goes out both the night before and the morning of to ensure that the course is clear for everybody. Coaches, family members, and other spectators are not permitted on the course, but they can be at various points around the course. We try to make that as clear as possible. It's kind of hard in some spots to view the longer races, but our spectators generally have a decent view of that race area. Spectators who run any distance with a competitor will cause the competitor team to be disqualified. So we cannot have that. During training and qualifying events, the same no assistant rule must be also applied to avoid confusion and distress at the Fall Sports Festival or any other qualifying event. So if for some reason at your qualifiers you see a parent doing any of this or a spectator, etc., please correct it as soon as you see it happening, just so we do not need to DQ your athlete at the state championship. So in front of you, you can see the anticipated course at Mount St. Mary's. There is one update to this course that doesn't change the course, but once you arrive on site, we don't want you to be too surprised about it. To the right of the Waldron Family Stadium, right above that parking lot area, there's now a bunch of tennis courts. So right before we take that left to cut back, there's a bunch of tennis courts there now. So it doesn't impede our race at all. Ron and I were really happy that when they were building it, it got closed, but there's still plenty of room for our athletes to cut over there. So that has not changed the course. So that is our 1K course at the moment. It is subject to change, but that is what we believe it will be. So here's the 1,500 and 3,000 meter course, which will be one loop for the diagram in front of you. and that will be 2 loops for the 3K. All right, and then in front of you, going all the way around the pond, across the bridge, for those who have done that before. It's a beautiful run. That's going to be the 5K course, and that will be 2 loops. So athletes will basically start and end at the same location for each of these races. Basically, anybody who's been there, it's right to the side of the pavilion. We try to even line it with feather flags for when they're coming back through. And deck out the venue the best we can to enhance the athlete experience. Are there any coaches online that want to, I don't want to get into it too much, that have suggestions though, for running this course they've noted from the past?
Ryan, just one thing to note,
Yeah.
and for folks to be aware, we don't know for sure yet, but we may be utilizing those tennis courts this year. So at some point, if not this year, it'll be in a future year. So we'll need to assess whether there's any traffic issues in terms of foot traffic and such, or how we need to section that off. But at this point, I wouldn't think it would have to change the route. But just want to make sure folks are aware that that's a possibility. Thanks.
All right. So questions and more information, please make sure that you check on that main coaches resource page, which will give you general information pertaining to Special Olympics, along with all of your resources. And then as we talked about, that link there will take you to the bottom of the athletics coaches resource page to get you to the long distance running portion of the coaches training page there, which again will list out all of your opportunities. That also goes out in the sports calendar and the area memo portion of that. And also when new opportunities arise, I try to send those out to others also. So it's not just you're wondering when new opportunities pop up. Okay. So you have my contact information there. Email or phone call is best. If I don't have your number saved, please just know I'm not going to pick up. I get too many calls, the people that want to talk to me, and I don't want to talk to them, but I do want to talk to you. So leave your name, your number, and I will give you a call back in the next 24 hours or so. Okay. At this time, do we have any questions? Susan, you unmuted. Do you have any questions?
Oh, no, I just, I did that. Tracy's, Tina sent me the coaching certifications. I did that, and
Great.
I attended Mike's track and field session in the spring.
Yes.
So there would be some separate training for long distance, you think?
Yeah, I need to figure out if we have any new coaches. If we have any brand new coaches, I may do this slightly differently, but I would like to get, since there's so much experience here, have more of a collaboration session with all the experience that we have here. So if something will be separate, which I will get set up in the next week or two here, that I would like to offer to everybody. Okay.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just really filling in for David Lang until his son's done with college, but
yes,
Zach is there. He's sort of our official coach until I can, he's ready to retire. He told me.
Well, I am too, but I got a few years.
Wait, I was wondering what does this 1 month mean, Mike? Is there something Brian's doing different? You said in a month, somebody else might be?
Ryan, you want to share? It's out in the area. The area directors are aware, so.
Sure. I just don't want to harp on it. I know we might have other questions, and I got to get to some resources here too. But I have absolutely loved my time with the organization. I won't say I loved every minute. That would be a lie. There were a few minutes that were very difficult. But it's been 5 years roughly on staff and a year or two as an intern, and then with Western Maryland prior to that. But I have accepted a position with Local 486, which is a Plumbers and Steam Fitters Union in Baltimore. So that is the change in job occupation that I will be taking here sometime in October, November timeframe. So whenever I get that call, that will be my last day. So
Oh, wow.
I have absolutely loved working with each of you, and I hope you know that. I know many have noted that they could tell. It's going to be unfortunate to leave, but I also know that it can stop back whenever I want. Maybe
Yeah.
not whatever role I want. I might get told what to do, but I will still be a part of this organization to some extent. So that is that.
I hope so. Well, that's congratulations.
Thank you, Susan. I really appreciate it.
You're going from athletics to plumbers. I don't know.
I'm sure there'll be some similarities.
Well, we want you to come back and volunteer. I've seen other people come back and volunteer.
It's hard to leave.
Yeah.
You will see me around at some extent.
Yeah, Michael, make you come back and volunteer.
That's right. Yeah, I know where he lives. So
Yeah, that's the problem. All my certifications are up to date. Now they know everything about me, where I live. It's not good.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
All right. Do we have any other questions related to long distance running?
But can I just ask Mike, John or Ann, did you either of you think of an event that you might have, or maybe it's too early?
I know Howard County usually
yeah,
does.
we
I'm not
haven't
sure.
we haven't decided on a time. But well, our registration hasn't even closed yet, so for us, yeah.
We had a meet, John may remember, it was the bad weather and you didn't travel down for it
Right.
last year at a park, and that worked out pretty nicely because it was a circle that was exactly a mile, or exactly 1,500 meters. I had measured all of the different races out. So we may do that again. I'll have to exchange dates. And I don't know if can have access, since it's a park. They don't give us sole access, which is a bit of a problem if we have more people. But I had talked to an athletic director at a private school who offered to have a race for us or host a race, but now he doesn't
Nice.
he doesn't want to do it now. So I'm really kind of bummed about that. He reached out to us in like March.
Oh, and then he changed his mind.
Well, they're apparently doing another race, so he said he doesn't think he'll do two. So anyway.
So when you have your qualifiers, let us know.
Yes. Yeah.
You're with Montgomery, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with Howard, so.
Yeah.
And we'll let you know. So.
Yeah, I'll have to work on that.
Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome. Oh.
All right. And of course, we have some time to figure out what those opportunities will be. Any final questions? At the moment, I'm just clicking through the final resources that are attached to this slide deck, which you can access, obviously, at your own convenience. Just giving you a sneak peek of what's in there in case you were wondering what was included. But again, a great point of resource for you as you go through your season.
Great. Okay.
All right. If there are no other questions, I will give you back, however, 30 minutes exactly. All right, of your night. I really appreciate you all being on here. I look forward to getting the season started with y'all. And I know Casey will do a great job coming in. I doubt it'll be the last time we talk, but again, it's been a pleasure working with each of you and the other coaches. And I have a large amount of respect for all that you do for them. And we will always be connected that way. So have a great rest of your night, everyone. And let's have a great long distance running season.
Yeah, you too. Thanks,
Thank
Ryan.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. You say bye?
Bye.